Well, I'm probably going to find some gold. What I've done is I'm cleaning out my tub, putting fresh water in it, making it warm. It'll have defactant in it. But all my tailings from my little micro sluice right here. Now, over half that bucket, 3/4 of that bucket was ran with my standard mats that I've been using. Cut razorback, downdraft, UR, and a piece of homemade scrubber. And I've screened that whole bucket down to, I believe this is a -20 mesh. I know there's going to be some gold, but I don't know how much gold. I'll film it as I go along. So anyhow, well, happy Thanksgiving. I'm playing in the dirt. Well, I've got about 1/3 of a 5-gallon bucket that came out of this, and this is the safety catch pan from this. Again, I was using my other mat. Now I'm currently trying Doc's new washer mat. I'm set up pretty darn close. Actually, I mean, just about dead on level, front and rear. And I'm running at a 10.8, virtually 11-degree angle. I'm going to go just a little bit steeper than I did last time, but we're going to see the washer mat. This should be just full of black sand. There shouldn't be hardly no gold in this, but you know, there's no such thing as a perfect system, so I know there's going to be some gold. I'm expecting maybe 3 grains, 4 grains worth of gold. Thanks, you're not no gram or nothing. I mean, there's not going to be much gold in this. First scoop. Let's see what happens. Looks like my material's kind of coming across here and then sliding over to this side a little bit. But it appears as though my ramps, all of my ramps, are being fairly level across. I only have about maybe 1/8 of an inch of water flow above the mats. So at a 365 gallon per hour pump, almost 3 inches wide, 36 inches long. All my math buddies out there can figure that out. There's how many per inch. But that's the ideal situation. I could be able to take and run my normal cons with my normal mats and classifying down to just 1/2 inch and running my 1/2 inch day, you know, 40 buckets, 50 buckets, pull the mats out, have 3 or 4 cups where the material, pop in a finisher mat or a washer mat into the same sluice box, hook some water up and run it down, and then you're going to end up with only, out of 3 or 4 cups, then you're going to end up with 3 or 4 tablespoons. So that's the idea, and I think Doc's going to make it work. He's way better at the science of this than I am, so he says he's already seen a small flaw in it. Personally, I'm loving what I'm seeing personally. Now I'm at a 13-degree angle. So, and it is cleaning out better. I don't know how much more. I guess I'll try it later on, maybe at a 15-degree angle if I can figure out what to use to space it up higher. It is cleaning out. Too bad there really wasn't no known gold in this. I wanted to show you here. So my water, I got turbulence up here from, you know, like waves. But right down here, especially like this one right here, where the water's completely smooth and flat all the way across the mat. Watch how fast at this one here, this one, and this one, and that one for that matter, where the water's really screaming fast down across it. This is down towards the very bottom of the sluice. These ones are really classifying out to where there's just about nothing in them. The water's super flat, and it's screaming fast across it. And that one seems to be doing the best. I come up here a little bit higher, my water's still trying to rush. It's not flat. You know, it's not flat all the way across the board. So it's making mounds on one, clearing out on one side and mounds on the other. You can kind of see the turbulence waters is cleaning out here, and this right here picked up a lot of speed right there. So you got a dead zone in the middle, and that's where it's piling up. So if I've got dead zones in the water, it'll mound up onto it. But when the water comes across and it's the same speed all the way across it, it's doing exactly what Doc wants right here. And these bottom sections down here are doing exactly what Doc was suggesting. But trying to get your water flow absolutely flat across it, similar to what a Miller table would be, obviously I don't have the setup for it. I ain't figured out how to do that. Not an engineer. Okay, well, I gave it a few minutes. I've got 3/4 of a gallon, or a third of a 5-gallon bucket all ran through here again. I don't think there's going to be much gold in this, because if my mats were doing the right thing to begin with, I shouldn't have much gold. But due to my feed rates and how many beers I have, I know I always lose some. So I'm going to shut the water down and let's take a look at what the mat looks like. Not much material. Do we see gold? Yes, there is a small amount of gold right there in that pre-ramp right there of that. Again, this is water with defactant in it. About the only thing I'm really seeing, there's a little bit of black sand and a lot of lead. Black sand, and I mean, I'll go ahead and I'll take a picture here in a few more minutes of down here, all the way down. Looks about the same amount of buildup on almost every ramp. Obviously I've got more lead as I come up, you know, but that's to be expected, and this is what I've been dealing with. If this had been Colorado or Idaho, Montana, you'd probably have plenty of gold, but you wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't have the black sands. You just have the gold. You can see the piles of lead. If this was down south, it'd be piles of gold instead of piles of lead. There is gold locked in that lead. So Doc's washer mat is working. Apparently he's wanting to make some kind of a changes to it, you know, because this is an experimental mat. And now you can actually see. Also, I wanted to show this. Okay, you see this whole line right there? In one of Doc's videos about sediment loads or something along that line. So my water looks like at this highest point, when I'm really feeding the materials, it's almost, I might have way too much water going on, because look at here, I mean, I'm almost a 1/2 inch above the top of the mat. Even down here where it was cleaning out really good, ramped up, you can see it just ramps right up with that. The very top of the silt layer left a little tide line right along the top edge of my box. And everywhere where it goes down and comes back up, it left it. You know, in the big mats it came up higher, comes down. So the heavies were sticking to the bottom, the very fine silt was sticking at the top. At 360 gallon per hour on a 2.5 inch wide sluice, I probably should have some sort of a valve and try to get a lower water flow on it. I should be maybe only 1/8 of an inch, but I don't know if that would give me enough of a speed, how much faster I'd be able to go. Further testing to come. I'll do a pan out here and we'll see what kind of gold I got. Okay, I'm only going to pan the first top half of this mat first, and then I'll pan the bottom half of the mat second and see what happens. Okay, the first half of the mat, there's majority of the gold. This is the bottom half of the mat. Now, I did have 1 or 2 decent pieces, but the rest of it's, I mean, in comparison, there is less than a quarter, even less than that, when you compare the two of them together. Oops. Top half of the mat, bottom half of the mat.